In 1974, Louisville, Kentucky, 12-year-old Amara Jackson, an aspiring boxer facing discrimination in a male-dominated sport, attends one of Muhammad Ali's public appearances with her skeptical father. When she finally gets close to her idol for an autograph, Ali notices her bruised knuckles and does something extraordinary that not only validates her dreams, but also transforms her relationship with her overprotective father, who has struggled to support her boxing ambitions. Amara Jackson studied her reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror of their small house in Louisville's West End. Her dark skin was glistening with sweat after her morning routine of shadow boxing, and she carefully wrapped her tender knuckles with the strips of cloth she'd torn from an old bedsheet. Her makeshift punching bag, a canvas sack filled with sand and hung from the oak tree in their backyard, had left her hands perpetually bruised. But those bruises were badges of honor to her. "Amara, you better be getting ready for school, not throwing those punches again," her father called from the kitchen, his voice carrying equal parts concern and frustration. There are stories that barely begin, yet they say everything. If just this piece reminded you of home, of someone who's gone, or even a part of yourself you've forgotten, subscribe now. This channel only exists because of you. You are important to me. Here, we don't tell stories just to tell them. Every word carries feeling. And if you felt something, it's because this story found you at the right moment. Click there, subscribe, and stay. You'll recognize yourself in every chapter. Today was special. Muhammad Ali, Louisville's own world champion, was coming home for a parade and public appearance at the local community center. The whole city was buzzing with excitement, but nobody's heart pounded harder than Amara's. She had been collecting newspaper clippings about Ali since she was 8 years old, studying his technique, memorizing his words. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee wasn't just a catchy phrase to her. It was a philosophy. "Dad, we're still going to see Muhammad Ali today, right?" Amara called back, quickly changing into her school clothes while being careful not to disturb the wrapped knuckles. Thomas Jackson sighed as he packed his daughter's lunch. A widower raising a daughter alone wasn't easy, especially when that daughter had set her heart on becoming a boxer, a dream he considered impossible in 1974 America. Women's boxing wasn't even a recognized sport, and the discrimination they already faced as a black family in Louisville made her dreams seem doubly unreachable. "Yes, we're going. But Amara, I need you to be realistic about this. You probably won't even get close to him. There'll be hundreds of people there." Amara emerged from her room, school books in hand, her eyes bright with determination. "I made a sign. It's small, so I can hold it up if I get close enough. Do you think he'll see it?" Thomas looked at the carefully lettered cardboard his daughter had been working on for days. "Greatest of all time, from your future female champion." His heart ached. He didn't want to crush her spirit, but the world had taught him harsh lessons about dreams and reality. "Maybe, sweet pea. Just don't be too disappointed if nothing comes of it." School dragged by that day. Amara couldn't focus on fractions or grammar when the greatest was going to be just blocks away in a few hours. When the final bell rang, she raced home to change into her best outfit, a yellow dress her mother had made before she passed away 3 years ago. The community center was packed beyond capacity. People spilled out onto the streets, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Ichi champion. Thomas lifted Amara onto his shoulders so she could see above the crowd. She clutched her sign tightly, scanning the sea of faces for the one that had smiled from her bedroom wall for years. When Ali's car finally arrived, the crowd erupted. He emerged looking exactly like he did on television, tall, handsome, and radiating a confidence that seemed to electrify the air around him. Amara felt tears spring to her eyes. There he was, living proof that a black kid from Louisville could conquer the world. "Dad! Dad! Can we get closer?" she pleaded, though they were already being pressed from all sides. Thomas hesitated, then nodded. "Hold tight to my hand. If it gets too rough, we're leaving." They pushed forward slowly as Ali made his way into the community center, shaking hands and playfully sparring with children as he went. Inside, the crowd was slightly more controlled, as people lined up for a brief moment with the champ. After nearly 2 hours of waiting, Amara found herself standing before Muhammad Ali. He seemed even taller up close, his presence filling the room. She froze, overwhelmed by the moment. "What's your name, little sister?" Ali asked, his voice gentler than the booming declarations she'd heard on TV. Amara Jackson, sir," she managed, holding out her sign with trembling hands. Ali read it, his eyebrows raising slightly. Then he noticed her hands, the poorly wrapped knuckles visible beneath her short sleeves. "You box?" he asked, suddenly serious. Amara nodded, finding her voice. "Every day. In my backyard. Dad says girls can't be real boxers, but I'm going to be the first." Ali's eyes shifted to Thomas, who looked embarrassed. Then back to Amara's determined face. "Let me see those hands, champion," Ali said, gently taking her small fists in his massive ones. "If this story has already made you feel something, no matter how small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and subscribe now." "These are boxers' hands," Ali declared, examining Amara's bruised knuckles. "But somebody hasn't shown you how to wrap them properly." He looked up at Thomas. "Your daddy boxes too?" Thomas shook his head, uncomfortable under the champion's scrutiny. "No, sir. I work at the factory. Amara's mother was the athlete in the family, track and field. She passed a few years back." Something softened in Ali's expression. He turned his attention back to Amara. "You've got heart, I can tell. But heart ain't enough in this sport. You need training, technique." A staff member approached, whispering that they needed to keep the line moving. Ali nodded, but held up one finger, asking for a moment. He pulled a small notebook from his pocket, scribbled something, and handed it to Amara. "Be at this address tomorrow morning at 6. Don't be late. Champions rise before the sun." Before Amara could respond, she and her father were ushered along, making way for the next people in line. In a daze, she looked down at the paper. It contained an address in western Louisville and a phone number. "Dad, did that really just happen?" she whispered as they walked out into the fading daylight. Thomas took the paper, studying it with skepticism. "It's probably just his way of being nice, sweet pea. I doubt Muhammad Ali actually wants you to show up somewhere." "But he said I should go tomorrow at 6. "Amara." Her father's voice was gentle but firm. "Famous people say things like this all the time. It doesn't mean anything. Besides, I'm not letting you go to some address we don't know." Disappointment crushed Amara's excitement. Of course, it had been too good to be true. She stayed quiet on the bus ride home, clutching the paper and wondering what might have been. That evening, after dinner, Thomas found his daughter in the backyard, hitting her sandbag with more force than usual, tears streaming down her face. "Hey now," he said softly, "what's all this about?" "You don't believe in me either," Amara said between punches. "Nobody does." Thomas watched his daughter, seeing her mother's determination in every swing. He sighed deeply, then made a decision. "Get inside, and get to bed early. If we're going to be somewhere at 6 tomorrow morning, you'll need your rest." Amara froze mid-punch. "Really? We're going?" "I can't promise anything will come of it. But yes, we'll go." The address led them to a small, worn-down gym tucked behind a row of storefronts. "Bradley's Boxing," read the faded sign. Thomas checked the address again, certain there had been a mistake. The neighborhood was quiet at this early hour, the streets nearly empty. "I don't think this is right," he began. But Amara was already pushing through the door. Inside, the gym was alive with activity despite the early hour. Several men were training, the rhythmic sounds of speed bags and jump ropes filling the space. An older black man with close-cropped gray hair approached. "Them. Can I help you?" he asked, eyeing them suspiciously. Muhammad Ali told me to come here," Amara said, her voice smaller than she intended. She held out the paper with the address. The man's expression changed immediately. "You must be the girl. Ali called me last night, said you had heart, but needed proper training." He extended his hand to Thomas. "I'm Fred Bradley. This was Ali's first real gym, back when he was still Cassius Clay." Thomas shook his hand, dumbfounded. "He actually called you? About my daughter?" "Sure did. Said she reminded him of himself at that age. Determined. Unwilling to let the world tell her what she couldn't do." Bradley turned to Amara. "He also said your technique is terrible, and you're going to break those hands if someone doesn't teach." "You're right," Amara couldn't help but smile. "Are you going to teach me, Mr. Bradley?" "That depends. Training here isn't a game. It's discipline, respect, hard work, and your daddy has to be on board." Bradley looked at Thomas questioningly. Thomas hesitated. He had spent 3 years trying to guide Amara toward more practical dreams, things that seemed possible for a black girl in the South. But seeing her now, standing tall in this gym where her hero had once trained, he recognized the futility of fighting against her nature. "If she's willing to put in the work, I won't stand in her way," he finally said. Bradley nodded approvingly. "Good. Now, there's someone else who wants to see if you're serious." He gestured toward the back office. The door opened, and Muhammad Ali himself stepped out, dressed in training gear. "The champion arrives on time," he announced with his trademark grin. "I was starting to think you weren't coming." Amara was speechless. Her father's jaw dropped. "Mr. Ali, Thank you," Thomas stammered. "I didn't think you were serious." "Yesterday." Ali's smile faded slightly. "I never joke about boxing or about potential. Your daughter has the eyes of a fighter, but she needs proper training, proper equipment." He turned to Amara. "That sandbag in your backyard? It's building bad habits. You're going to learn right, from the beginning." From a bag nearby, Ali pulled out a pair of brand-new hand wraps, boxing gloves, and a jump rope, all child-sized. "First lesson is how to protect these hands. They're your tools. Can't be a carpenter with broken hammers, can't be a boxer with broken hands." As Ali demonstrated the proper wrapping technique on Amara's small hands, Thomas watched in amazement. The heavyweight champion of the world, taking time to teach his daughter as if she were the only person that mattered. "Why are you doing this?" Thomas asked quietly. Ali looked up, his eyes serious. "Because 20 years ago, someone believed in me when nobody else did. And because your daughter shouldn't have to fight alone." 6 months passed. The alarm clock rang at 4:30 every morning, and Amara was out of bed before the second ring. Training at Bradley's gym had become the center of her life. 3 mornings a week before school, weekend afternoons, and any other time she could squeeze in. Thomas had rearranged his work schedule to accommodate, picking up night shifts so he could drive her to morning sessions. Muhammad Ali wasn't always there. He had a world championship to defend and a global reputation to maintain, but he checked in regularly, sometimes by phone, sometimes with surprise visits that sent the gym into a frenzy of excitement. Each time, he spent extra minutes with Amara, watching her progress, offering guidance. "Keep your guard up. You're dropping your left," he called from outside the ring where Amara was sparring with another young boxer, a boy 2 years older, who had initially refused to practice with a girl. "She's getting good," Fred Bradley commented to Thomas as they watched from the corner. "Real good." Thomas nodded, his chest swelling with pride. The transformation in his daughter went beyond her improving technique. She carried herself differently now, confident, focused, disciplined. Her grades had improved too, after Ali had made it clear that school came first. No exceptions. "I never thought I'd be standing in a boxing gym watching my little girl throw punches," Thomas admitted. "Her mother would be." His voice caught. "Surprised, I guess." Bradley shook his head. "Proud is what she'd be. Same as you are." That evening, as they walked to the bus stop, Amara noticed her father was quieter than usual. "Is everything okay, Dad?" Thomas nodded slowly. "Just thinking about how much has changed. 6 months ago, I was trying to talk you out of this boxing dream. Now I'm helping you chase it. Are you still worried about it?" "Of course I am. It's a tough road, especially for someone like you. Women's boxing isn't even in the Olympics yet, but—" He looked down at his daughter. "If anyone can do it, it's you. You've got the same spirit Ali talks about, the one that doesn't know how to quit." When they arrived home, there was a package waiting on their porch. No sender's address, just Amara's name in neat handwriting. Inside was a pair of custom-made boxing boots, red with yellow trim, the colors of Amara's homemade sign all those months ago. A note read simply, "For when you're ready for your first real match. Muhammad Ali." "Dad, how does he always know?" Amara whispered, holding the boots as if they were made of gold. Thomas shook his head in wonder. "I stopped trying to figure that man out the day he called the gym about you." 2 weeks later, Fred Bradley approached them after training. "There's a junior exhibition next month. Nothing official, just a friendly showcase between local gyms. I think Amara's ready." Thomas felt his protective instincts surge. "She'd be fighting boys? I don't know, Fred." "Dad," Amara interjected, "I spar with boys every day." "Training is different from an actual match, Amara." Bradley nodded. "It is. But she needs this experience. And yes, it would be against boys her age and weight class. There aren't enough girls training yet to have separate divisions." Thomas looked at his daughter's hopeful face and realized this was just the first of many such moments. Times when he would have to choose between protecting her and letting her grow. "Let me think about it," he finally said. That night, their phone rang. Thomas answered to hear the unmistakable voice of Muhammad Ali on the line. "Let her fight," Ali said without preamble. "She's ready." "She could get hurt," Thomas countered. "She could. Or she could win. Either way, she'll learn something important about herself." Thomas was silent for a moment. "Did Bradley call you?" Ali laughed. "No, man. I called to check on my fighter's progress, and he mentioned the exhibition. This is her choice, but she needs your support." After hanging up, Thomas found Amara sitting on their small porch, already wrapped in her favorite blanket, despite the mild spring evening. "You heard?" he asked, sitting beside her. She nodded. "I want to do it, Dad. I'm not scared." "I know you're not. That's what scares me." He put his arm around her shoulders. Your mom was fearless too. Drove me crazy sometimes. The risks she'd take. Do you think she'd want me to fight? Thomas thought about his late wife, her determination, her refusal to accept limitations. Yes, he said finally. I think she'd be the first one in your corner. The exhibition was held at a larger gym across town. 8 pairs of young boxers would compete in short, 2-round matches. Amara was the only girl on the roster, a fact that drew curious stares and some unkind comments from spectators. In the changing area, Thomas helped her lace up Allie's gifted boots for the first time. "Remember what Bradley taught you," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Stay focused. Protect yourself. Breathe." Amara nodded, her eyes already fixed on some point in the distance, entering the mental space Bradley had taught her to find before a match. As they walked toward the ring, a commotion near the entrance caught everyone's attention. Muhammad Ali himself strode into the gym, accompanied by several members of his entourage. The crowd erupted in cheers and surprise. "The champ is here to support local talent," someone announced over the PA system, but Ali made his way directly to Amara. "Those boots fit okay?" he asked, as if this were just another day at Bradley's. "Jim!" "Yes, sir," she managed, overwhelmed by his presence, and the stares now directed her way. "Good. Now, go show them what I already know. That greatness doesn't care if you're a girl or boy, rich or poor. It only cares if you're willing to work for it." With Ali watching from ringside, sitting right next to her nervously proud father, Amara stepped into the ring for her first real boxing match. If you've made it this far and felt every word, you won't leave without subscribing, will you? I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this truly touched you, give back. Comment. Subscribe. Come be part of this family with me. Until the next video. Summer 1975 brought change to Louisville. The heat hung heavy in the air, thick and persistent. Amara, now 13, had grown 2 inches since that first exhibition match. She had won that day, not by knockout, but by superior technique and conditioning, earning grudging respect from her opponent and astonished applause from the crowd. In true, the years since meeting Muhammad Ali, she had fought in 6 exhibition matches, winning 4. Local newspapers had begun to take notice, running small stories about Ali's girl boxer, a nickname that made Amara both proud and determined to forge her own identity. "You're dropping your right shoulder again," Bradley called out as Amara worked the heavy bag. "Focus on keeping level when you throw that cross." The gym had changed too. Where once Amara had been the only girl, now 5 others trained regularly, inspired by her example. Thomas had become a fixture, helping with equipment maintenance on weekends and learning enough about boxing to provide meaningful feedback during Amara's training. After practice, as they walked to the bus stop, Thomas handed his daughter an envelope. "This came to the house yesterday. I wanted to wait until after training to give it to you." Amara recognized the handwriting immediately. She tore it open, pulling out a newspaper clipping and a short note. The clipping was from a major sports publication, featuring an article about the push for women's boxing to be recognized officially. Her name was mentioned alongside a few adult women who were fighting for the same cause. The note read, "They're starting to listen. Keep fighting. Muhammad Ali. He's in Zaire now, preparing for another big fight," Thomas explained. "But he's still keeping track of you." Amara carefully folded the clipping and note back into the envelope. "Sometimes I still can't believe any of this is real. That he saw me. That he cared." Thomas put his arm around his daughter's shoulders. That's who he is. He sees people that others don't. Just like he saw something in you that even I had missed. That evening, they watched a televised interview with Ali from his training camp in Africa. As always, he was charismatic, confident, making bold predictions about his upcoming fight. Then, unexpectedly, the interviewer asked, "I understand you've taken a special interest in youth boxing back in Louisville, particularly supporting a young female boxer. What's that about?" Ali's face lit up. "Amara Jackson. Remember that name. She's going to change women's boxing forever. Mark my words, I'm just making sure she gets the chance that almost didn't come my way." Amara and her father stared at the television in shock as Ali continued. "People ask why I spent time training a 12-year-old girl. I tell them, because talent doesn't care about your gender or your color or where you come from. Real greatness just needs a door to walk through. Sometimes we have to build that door ourselves." The phone started ringing almost immediately. Friends, neighbors, people from school who had never taken Amara's boxing seriously. All calling to say they'd seen Muhammad Ali mention her on national television. "Dad," Amara whispered when they finally had a moment alone. What did he mean about a chance that almost didn't come his way? Thomas sat beside her on the couch. When Ali was young, still Cassius Clay then, he had his bicycle stolen. He was so angry, he told a police officer he was going to beat up whoever took it. That officer was also a boxing coach. He told Clay he better learn to box first and invited him to the gym. That's how it all started for him. A stolen bike, and someone who believed in his potential. So he's doing for me what that officer did for him? Seems that way. Passing on the legacy. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived from the Amateur Athletic Union, addressed to Amara. It formally invited her to participate in an exhibition match at their national convention, part of a special demonstration advocating for women's boxing to be sanctioned officially. "This is huge," Bradley said when they showed him the letter. "This is how change happens. People with influence see what's possible, and minds start to open." The convention was held in Chicago. Thomas took 2 days off work, something he'd never done before, to accompany Amara. They traveled by bus, carrying her equipment in a gym bag Ali had sent for her last birthday. The exhibition hall was intimidating. Larger than any venue Amara had fought in before. Officials in suits mingled with coaches and athletes. Amara was paired with a 15-year-old girl from California, the only other female boxer her age they could find who had comparable training. As they prepared in the changing area, a familiar voice cut through the nervous chatter. The people came to see a real fight, not two boxers too nervous to throw a punch. Amara spun around to see Muhammad Ali, dressed impeccably in a suit and tie, grinning at her shocked expression. "You didn't think I'd miss this, did you?" "This is history happening?" Thomas stepped forward to shake Ali's hand. "We had no idea you'd be here. Aren't you supposed to be training for your title defense?" "I am training, but some things are worth taking a day for." Ali turned to Amara. "You nervous?" She nodded, unable to hide the truth from him. "There are so many important people out there." "Good. Let them see what they've been missing. Boxing needs more girls like you, fighters who had to overcome more than just their opponents in the ring." He placed his massive hands on her shoulders. "Remember what I taught you about fear?" "It's just energy," Amara recited. "Neither good nor bad until you decide what to do with it." "That's right. Now go use that energy." The match was only 3 rounds, but Amara fought with everything she had. Her opponent was skilled too, making for a genuine contest that had the audience of officials and coaches leaning forward in their seats. When the final bell rang, both girls received a standing ovation. Afterward, a woman from the Olympic Committee approached them. "That was impressive. Both of you." She handed Thomas her card. "Women's boxing isn't going to happen overnight, but with athletes like your daughter leading the way, it's a matter of when, not if. Keep me updated on her progress." On the bus ride home, Amara was quiet, processing everything that had happened. Thomas watched her, marveling at how much she had grown, not just physically, but in confidence and purpose. "You know," he said finally, "when you first told me you wanted to be a boxer, I thought it was just a phase, something you'd grow out of once you realized how hard it would be." Amara turned from the window. "I know, Dad. You were just trying to protect me." "Maybe. Or maybe I was protecting myself from watching you get hurt, from seeing you face rejection." He took her hand, still wrapped from the match. "I should have had more faith in you from the start. It's okay. We got here anyway." Thomas smiled. "Yes, we did. Because Muhammad Ali saw what I couldn't." Amara shook her head. "That's not true. Ali opened a door, but you're the one who's been there every day, driving me to practice, learning about boxing so you could help me, rearranging your whole life to support my dream." She leaned against his shoulder. "We're a team now." When they arrived home, there was another package waiting. Inside was a framed photograph of Ali standing with Amara at the AAU convention, both in boxing poses, pretending to square off. The inscription read, "To Amara, the next Louisville legend, your journey is just beginning. Muhammad Ali." Artatiwer hung it in their living room, right beside the family photos. Years later, when women's boxing was finally included in the Olympic Games, a reporter asked the gold medalist who had inspired her to take up the sport. "There was this girl from Louisville," she answered, "who trained with Muhammad Ali when no one thought girls belonged in the ring. She showed us it was possible." And in a modest home in Louisville, Amara Jackson, by then a coach herself, teaching a new generation of girls to box, watched the interview with her father, both of them remembering the day when she had just wanted an autograph, and Muhammad Ali had given her so much more.